Welcome to Mpowered Living. I'm Sheu. On this podcast, innovative leaders and visionary experts share insights and practical tools for work, family, and marriage. Each episode, we'll explore how to elevate your life while staying grounded in what truly matters to you. You're working hard to navigate relationships, build a thriving family, and create a legacy of purpose. We're here to help you do that with confidence and intentionality. So if you're ready to live a life by design, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Mpowered Living. I'm your host, Sheu, and today's episode will change the way you think about parenting, entrepreneurship, and leadership. Leah Ellis wears a lot of hats: entrepreneur, nonprofit founder, educator, mom of four. But what stood out most in this conversation isn't her resume. It's how she makes bold decisions look effortless. We talk about what happens when your 4-year-old wants to start a business and you say yes, what it takes to teach leadership to kids, and what you risk if you keep saying yes to everything that looks important while the people who matter most get your leftovers. If you've ever wondered how to raise more capable kids, lead more intentionally, or slow down before completely burning out, this episode's for you. Let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Leah. I am so excited to have you here today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Let's just dive right in because I want to ask you so many questions about Society of Child Entrepreneurs. Can you share with us what you're doing and how this came about?
Yeah, so we teach financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and leadership to kids 6 through 17 by letting them start and run their own businesses, which means they're designing their own products, they're setting up their own display tables, and they're making their own money. And it kind of had an interesting start and a long start. So pre-COVID, I had a children's daycare that I ran, and I loved it, and I loved being an educator, and I loved working with kids. But my house flooded, and we had to temporarily close. Our scheduled reopening date was the exact same day that the County of Los Angeles issued the stay-at-home order, and nobody came to our open house. So we had to quickly pivot and figure out, what are we going to do instead? My husband was deployed. I was at home with a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and we decided that was the right time to start a financial coaching company. So I was doing business training videos and financial coaching training videos on the living room TV so that I could watch the videos while I was watching my kids. And then my 4-year-old started doing less playing while I watched and more watching with me until she hit about 4.5, and she looked at me and she said, "Mommy, I want to start a business too." Obviously, I told her no. She was 4.5. But she did that thing that every 4-year-old ever is just an absolute expert in, and asked why.
Yeah.
I did not have an answer for why she couldn't start a business. So in the midst of COVID, she created Melody Paints, and she sold custom drip art. You filled out a Google form letting her know what colors you wanted. She made your art and she shipped it to you. By the time COVID kind of let up, she was a featured artist at the City of Palmdale's Artists and Authors exhibit. She did a couple of children's business fairs, and then we moved back to the Midwest. And when we got back to the Midwest, I hosted my first children's business fair and realized that there was kind of a drop off at the end. We had this amazing event, and then when it was over, there was nothing next. There was nothing to do. And so I took my education background, I took my passion, and I took some friends and convinced them to jump on board with me. And we founded the Society of Child Entrepreneurs based on the fact that my daughter had already been an entrepreneur for half her life by that point. And she's only growing as an entrepreneur, and we wanted more kids to have that opportunity too.
Amazing. So what does it look like today?
So now we're almost 2 years old. We have monthly member meetings that are in person where all of our members come together and we do a mastermind and a Sochi circle. So with that, I pose some type of business problem and the kids work together like a Socratic circle to discuss what the possible solutions are and what the possible drawbacks of each of those solutions are. So they're running a mastermind just like grown-up business owners do, but they're eating it around pizza and they're all between the ages of 7 and 17. Then we have our summer camps and spring break camps where kids come in for a week and we do something really intensive where we meet every day and we write business plans or elevator pitches or all of the above. And then we have our Astra and Zeke book series, which is the opportunity for kids who don't know me and don't get to come to my classroom to see our teaching. Astra and Zeke are 10 and 12-year-old business coaches who teach business philosophy to other kids. And then we have the Sochi Circle, which is our online community for people around the world to join us. So we really have a way to join no matter where you are.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about the online community?
Yeah, so the Sochi Circle is hosted through school and it is really fantastic because it has three key points. 3 points. The first point is there's a discussion board and a community forum. And this is where everybody can kind of build that camaraderie, ask questions, do the Socratic circle thing asynchronously whenever they need to. But that is broken up into a general forum for everybody to use, an adult only forum where parents and guardians can say like, hey, this kid I'm trying to teach, they're stuck on this and I don't know how to teach past this. What advice and resources do you guys have to share with me? And then we have a child entrepreneurs only forum where adults are always welcome to read what is posted there, but adults are not allowed to post in that forum. And it creates a space where the children are truly advising each other and growing together. So that's the community forum. And then we have a classroom forum with different tiers. And that's where you can get resources on if your child's ready for entrepreneurship, what entrepreneurship really looks like as a child, and then even lesson plans that I've pre-written that you can just print them out and teach them to your family or your group of friends. And then the final tier is this is also where we find people to participate in our pilot programs. So when I have a new idea on something I want to test, I can pull people right out of the Sochi circle and say, hey, can you test this pilot program with me?
Okay, so let's shift a little bit because I want to talk about leadership in general because you've been working with kids and, growing young entrepreneurs. I'm curious what you have learned about leadership through this journey of, empowering young minds to become entrepreneurs. What have you learned about leadership? What have you seen in the young leaders that you're helping grow?
I think one of the first things that I've learned is that we sell them so short and they really are capable of a lot more than we give them credit for if we step back and let them lead. I have a funny story about my daughter. Her Girl Scout troop was planting a tree on Earth Day. And I thought that was a big deal. We're planting a tree on Earth Day. That's very special. And she said, no, we're not celebrating our tree enough. I want you to call the Chamber of Commerce and see if we can do a ribbon cutting. And I agreed because once again, I didn't want to be the bad guy. I'm really kind of a pushover.
Yeah.
So I called the Chamber of Commerce, fully expecting them to say no. And instead, they said yes, and let's do a ceremonial groundbreaking because it's a tree planting, so we really should bring out the shovels. So it ended up, then my daughter decided, well, if we're going to do a ribbon cutting and a groundbreaking, we should do some type of poetry or book reading. Okay. So we checked out like 6 books from the library, and she didn't like any of them. So I sat in my bed and I wrote a poem for her to read, paid an illustrator to illustrate said poem so that she had custom illustrations and a one-of-a-kind poem to read for the newspaper at her ribbon cutting and groundbreaking ceremony to plant a tree that was roughly 2.5 feet tall. That's the kind of leadership that our kids are totally capable of. She was 8 years old, but she knew she wanted this to be big and she took charge. She said, these are the things I want. This is the run of show. This is what we need it to look like. All we have to do is provide the tools and the resources when they're ready.
How do you learn to listen to your daughter like that? Because I know for so many parents, it's really hard to slow down and curious and listen and pay attention, give them show up as a guide instead of as their fixer, their rescuer.
It's really hard. And there are days that I'm really bad at it. And there are days that I'm really good at it. And so I hope that the good days outweigh the bad. And I hope that I can give her enough tools and resources that when I don't listen, she knows how to advocate to get me to slow down and listen. She's absolutely looked at me and said, Mom, you hurt my feelings. I don't think you're listening to me. And so I think it's really important for us as parents to be able to be really clear and really honest with our kids. Hey, I was focused on something else. I wasn't focused on you. I'm sorry. You have my attention now. hey, I need you to understand that right now your little brother's having a minor emergency. I need to take care of him before I can listen to you, but you're still important to me and we will come back to this. And just continuing to narrate the situation. I know that we always tell people when they've got babies and toddlers, narrate the situation so that they know the names of all the things and they know what's going on in their life. But really, even your 7, 8, 9 year olds, narrate the situation so that they don't feel like they're being ignored.
And, I know that you live and lead really intentionally. What does that look like day to day for you?
Takes a lot of sitting down together at the table, discussing what everybody's goals are, discussing dreams. We put all of our family's goals for the year on the back of the bedroom door so everybody can read their goals and where we're all trying to go as a family. Dad and I share our goals with the kids. It's not grown up business and kid business, it's family business. So we all share everything on equal ground. And I think one thing that we do have to be really intentional about is taking the time to ask our kids for their insight without letting them think it's that they're in control.
How
Because
do
at
you
the
do
end of
that?
the day, mom and dad have to make the final decisions. So we do things like we're discussing where are we going to go to dinner? Mom's thinking this or this, dad's thinking this or this. What do you guys think? We hadn't thought of that one. That sounds like a great one. Well, dad's driving the car, so he gets the final decision. Dad, here's what we've discussed. Where do you want to go? Then everybody's been a part of the decision-making process, but they know that the final decision isn't on their lap. And it also releases some pressure to them because they don't have to be responsible for the final decision.
I love that. So, as you are growing a family, growing this organization, how do you decide what gets your time and your energy?
I'm very particular about my calendar. I think that's probably the answer most entrepreneurs will give you. I'm really particular about work time, home time. If there's something, I own a for profit as well. And if there's something my for profit needs me to do on evenings, I work a lot of weekends, then we make sure that that's on the calendar. Everybody has a plan of what's going on, what is happening, what time that's happening so that other things can still happen that need to happen, like doing laundry and writing with my daughter. Because her and I like to do stories where we alternate writing sentences to make
Mm.
up a silly story, or even just playing race cars with my son. Those things are all protected. Those things have to happen.
And then what are you intentionally letting go of, good or bad, to really make sure that you're having time and space for the things that are important to you?
This year has been a really interesting year for me because there's a lot of things that have always been important to me that I have said I'm doing less of. So I'm doing a lot less volunteering this year. I love volunteering. I love being a part of my community. But I'm being a lot more specific about where I say yes to volunteer roles. And we have started to step back in our family on the amount of stuff that we have to move around
Mm.
because obviously I have 4 kids, so we have roughly infinity toys in my house, give or take 100,000, but getting really precise about which toys can we keep in the living room, which toys need to stay in the bedroom. How do the kids know where to put the things that they go? And giving them the leadership to say, this is what's important to me and where I want it. And then how do we make that work in the house?
What do you do to stay organized with that many kids? What's your secret?
One, embrace that there is gonna be a certain amount of chaos with that many children in the house. I mean, we have to empty 3 backpacks after school every day. There's always some loose paper somewhere that we have to organize and find homes for. Making sure that the kids understand what it means to put away their laundry and not leave it sitting on the couch after it's been sorted. And then making sure that there are certain routines that we don't give up. We pretty much do laundry every Sunday. Like the kids know on Sunday they are gonna have to put laundry away. I expect their rooms to be at least 90% of the way clean before they're allowed to watch cartoons on Saturday morning. There are things that they know are a part of the routine, helps them stay organized and in control of their space. And when they are organized in their space, it makes it easier for me to keep the rest of the house organized.
And at what age did you start some of those routines, roles?
So my youngest is 2. And she knows to help clean up. She knows the books go on the bookshelf. She knows her toys go in her room. Sometimes she gets mad about it and she doesn't want to, but she does it. My 4-year-old knows where each thing goes on a shelf, how to put the things away, and then also gets a little bit of an allowance, which is kind of a nice way to keep him engaged because everybody wants to make a little bit of their own money. And so he knows that he will get more or less allowance based on how many of the chores he does or doesn't complete. And then with my older kids, they don't get allowance for maintenance chores anymore. So things like putting away their laundry, keeping their room clean are not things that they get chores for anymore. However, stuff like cleaning the bathroom so that mom doesn't have to do it, taking out trash from rooms that aren't their own bedroom, or washing dishes are things that they do get an allowance for because that isn't maintaining their space. That's contributing to the whole house, which is our little family economy.
What's your approach to leadership in your for-profit organization and also in the nonprofit? How is that approach to leadership same or different from how you lead at home?
Uh, I think in all three of them, I try and ask for opinions before I make decisions. I don't ever want to be like the iron hammer who's coming down and saying, I'm the boss and this is the way things go. I don't tell my employees at my for profit, I'm the boss, so you have to do things my way. And I don't generally tell my kids, I'm the mom, so you have to do things my way. And with the nonprofit, I have a board of directors and they have to tell me what to do. So that means I have to be able to also take some of that instruction. So with all three, I try and be very communicative. I try and make sure that everybody understands what the problem is, what the potential solutions are, and what the results could be of each of those solutions.
So, in all these different hats that you're wearing, I feel like it would be really easy to feel like you're being stretched in a million different directions. What do you do to stay present and grounded, knowing that there's lots of things that you're juggling? You're raising a young family, running all these organizations. How do you stay present and grounded and like be where your feet are and not thinking about the other three things that need your attention or the other 3,000 things that need your attention?
Well, I'm really lucky. Two of my children are autistic, and my son in particular is very tactile. So if I start like zoning out, he will come and get me and he will put his arms around me and he'll be like, Mommy, I need you. You're right. I was a little bit drifting off thinking about that email I didn't answer yesterday. Because it happens to all of us, right? But one of the biggest things I think that helps us as a family stay cohesive and stay grounded in the time that we're spending together is we have really open conversations and those keep the kids engaged. And then I read to the kids. And so they all really love it when mama reads.
You have any favorite books?
We're reading Percy Jackson right now. And then obviously everybody gets really excited when I read my book. My kids think it's hilarious because I had the illustrator sneak in some pictures of my kids into the book. So they all get really excited to get to the page where they are and be like, that's me.
Love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Are all four of your kids in the books?
All four of my kids are in the book. Yeah. There's one page that has a whole bunch of children, and all four of my kids are on that page.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Tell us about a season where you felt like you were being stretched the most. Something that like really taught you something happened.
So end of last year, I was just saying yes to everything. I was like, I want to be on the PTO. I'm the Girl Scout troop leader. I'm the service unit manager. I'm founder of a nonprofit. I'm a teacher. I'm a substitute. I just was like, yes to everything because I really believed in my community and I really wanted to be an advocate for making all of these things get better. I got home and the house was a mess and the kids were all up past bedtime. And my husband just had this look on his face of utter defeat. And he was like, do you have something after work tomorrow? And I was like, yes. And I realized like I was completely and totally failing at my most important job. Like I was doing all of these things. The community thought I was superwoman. And at home, my kids didn't even know what my face looked like. And so, kind of that moment of saying, okay, it is time to prioritize and reorganize and figure out what are the most important things and what needs to happen to sustain those. And what is the succession plan to let go of all the things that aren't that. And so I stepped down from Girl Scouts. I stepped down from the service unit. It lowered my role at the PTO. Like I said no to a lot of things. And we are still busy. There are still a lot of things that I said yes to, and there are still many things that our family is involved in. but it's not like it was. And I think that was a really big eye-opening moment for me to be like, wait a second. If you think everything you want to do is to make things better for your kids, shouldn't you be spending some time with them?
We talk about that a lot with our clients at our journey. For so many of us, we feel like we are building this business for our family when in reality, what's happening is we're building this business and then our family's just getting put on the back burner and they're getting all the love. So I really appreciate you sharing so openly and honestly because I think a lot of people could be going through what you went through, but might not have the words to articulate what they're experiencing, what they're realizing, maybe what they don't want to realize about
Hmm.
thing.
I think that's a big one. Not wanting to admit defeat, not wanting to admit your own limit and being like, but I want to be limitless, but we are not. We are all human.
And, not just admitting your own limits, but admitting that maybe the way that you've been doing things has not been the best way, the way that's like really been serving you or the people most important to you.
Or I don't remember who says the quote, but it says, if you want to see where somebody's priorities are, show me where they spend their time. Well, I can't very well get on a stage and say, I've done everything I've done it for my children. Meanwhile, my kids are home alone every night because dad is exhausted and asleep and mom is gone.
It's hard because I speak about a lot of the same things that you're talking about right now. And I have the same struggle, right? Like I'm traveling for speaking engagements, speaking about intentionality and family. And the irony is like, while I'm doing that, I am literally away from my family. And so
Right.
it's a struggle. And it's about finding the right, like no day is gonna be perfect. Yeah, definitely trying to find the right I don't like using the word balance, but like find 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 the thing that feels right for me where it doesn't feel like I'm sacrificing unintentionally my family for the sake of what I'm advocating for, which is family, you know?
Right. Well, and that, like the ikigai of what is the thing where you find flow? Because there's going to be something that is your flow, and that is the thing that you're going to be able to do forever. And it's never going to feel like work. And I love my job and I love talking about the Society of Child Entrepreneurs. But I also really love spending time with my kids. And so it's not very fair for me to say, I love you guys second too. Because I don't. I love them first and foremost and before all the things. But I can also tell them, like, mommy loves you guys to infinity and beyond. And because I love you from infinity and beyond, I have to go to work and make money to feed you, to clothe you, to pay for the classes that you guys want to be in. And so, in order for you to have this thing that you want, this is what mom is going to do for us, for our family.
So it seems like you like when it seems like when you get an idea or feel a calling to go and do it. You seem like a very brave, courageous, fearless person. And I'm curious what you do to kind of navigate some of that uncertainty as you're stepping into something new.
So you're right. I am absolutely one of those people that's like, what's the worst that could happen? So we start over. It drives my husband absolutely insane because he likes to have a clear path forward and know the success rate is there. And I'm like, well, let's take a gamble.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things in our house is I can't make decisions without some type of evidence to
Mm.
suggest why I want to make that decision. And generally speaking, nothing happens without a 48-hour waiting period because otherwise I would do a lot too much and I would drive myself and my whole family insane. And then another thing is because I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur, my husband and I invested in a really fantastic program that I signed up for. And part of the compromise was I'm not allowed to start a new business for 5 years. So that has slowed me down because now I have a strict rule. I cannot.
Yeah. Yeah, that 48-hour rule is interesting because I've definitely made some impulsive decisions. If I had just waited 48 hours, I probably wouldn't have started that thing or signed up for that thing or
Yeah. Well, and because we get so excited, especially when we see how it's going to impact something that's
yes.
important to us, that we start to see the world with rose-colored glasses. And so my husband always asks me like, What if you don't do it? What if you do it differently? And then he asks, what if we do it later? And so a lot of times he'll say, I'm not saying no, I'm saying let's wait.
Good.
And I'm
I
like,
really like
okay.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
everything we do, it is a discussion. We very rarely do anything, either one of us, without some type of discussion between the two of us. Except for he did buy a 6 foot tall stormtrooper and surprised me with that.
What do you do with that?
So it was that's a Christmas decoration. So it's a 6 foot tall robotic stormtrooper with a Santa hat and a candy cane, and it yells at you about whether you are a part of those holiday celebrations or not. And my kids think it's hilarious, and he loves it. And it's supposed to go like as a yard ornament to decorate for your neighbors. But he put it right in the middle of our living room.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it's fantastic. And then it came with like a little Halloween bucket shaped like a Death Star, so you can put it out for Halloween too. So he's like, we're gonna keep it out all year this year in our living room.
Multi-use, you know what?
Right. Like, so we have a that was a surprise. And I mean it makes everybody happy. It makes us all laugh, but it was definitely a surprise.
Okay, so as you've been growing these organizations, what's something that you used to believe about success that you've changed your mind on? Like what's how has your definition of success changed?
It used to all be about big numbers. Like I always wanted to know, like, what's how much money did all of the kids make? And how many members do we have? And how many kids were present at this event? And how many contracts did we sign this year? And now it's a lot more about like the breadth of the changes. Okay, when we talk to our students, how many of them feel more confident? How many of them feel more in control? How many of them feel like they have a better understanding of a mission and vision statement? Or they feel like they could be an entrepreneur when they're grown up? And it's become a lot more on those harder to measure, but more impactful data points. We do a lot more surveys now than we used to.
Yeah, that you know what? That data is
Right.
so what is some of the most surprising stuff that you've noticed in the children that you're working with at your organization?
I think one of the things that is most surprising to me is how hard it is for the parents. Because the kids, like they know what they want to do, they know how to put it together. They're nervous at first, but they warm up, they get more comfortable. There's a pretty predictable, like, this is new and scary. Oh, it's not new anymore. Oh, this is fun. Oh, I'm proud of what I've done. That kind of all the kids go through. But for the parents, it's like, wait a second. Because I have a rule at our children's business fairs, if the child is over the age of 7, the parents aren't allowed in the booth. And so then the parents are like, what do you mean I'm not allowed in the booth? But I need to be in. No, there's a parent corner, and parents need to be in the parent corner. You are not allowed to be in your child's booth unless they have tech support issues. That is the only reason a parent is allowed to come into a booth, and that is to fix the tech support issues and then leave again. So it's hard for parents to, one, let go and not be right next to their child, and two, to trust their child to be okay in a new environment.
I mean, I'm thinking about my 7-year-old, and even though I would like to believe that I am very trusting and I know he's very capable, even me just thinking about what I wouldn't be allowed in the booth, like, it's still giving me a little bit of
Yeah.
angst, you know?
So 6-year-olds are allowed to have parents in the booth, but 7 and up are not allowed to have parents in the booth with them. And you can stay in the building. I'm not kicking you out of the building. I'm not telling you you're not allowed to see your kid, but they run the booth by themselves. You teach them beforehand how to show off their QR codes for Square and Venmo. You show them how the little calculator works, and they make sure they've set out all their pricing. By 7 years old, they can add and subtract within 20, which is the most people are going to pay them with a $20 bill,
Yeah.
and they've got it.
Love that. Do you have a model for your business fairs that other people can do in other cities? Or how to like if somebody's listening and they're like, oh, that's a fascinating idea. I want to do that. Is there something that they can learn from you on the work that you've already done?
I'm going to tell you it's even better than that. I didn't create this children's business fair model. I took it from Acton Children's Business Fair, and I used their model. I still use their platform for our children's business fairs. Our curriculum and our programs and things like that, I write, and those are all special to our organization. But the Children's Business Fair, as it stands, you can just go to childrensbusinessfair.com, and maybe it's .org. And Acton has it, and they will tell you, they background check you, they provide letters that you can send to sponsors, they run the applications for you and everything. And then you just have to run your event. And afterwards, you send them a report on how your event went, and they even provide you some sponsorship money.
Oh, wow. It's
But yeah,
amazing.
Acton does it all. Our organization will have to get a whole lot bigger before I don't use Acton anymore, because it is so easy to run a children's business fair through Acton.
Amazing. And at yours, how many booths do you usually have?
So we, in the space that we're in right now, the maximum that I can fit is 18. Like I've looked at all the different ways to move tables. The most I can fit in that space is 18. And so we usually have between 12 and 18, depending on the season and depending on where people are. There's another organization that also uses Acton for their children's business fairs that's been in existence for about 8 years. And they routinely have about 101. I think we can get bigger when I have a bigger space.
Okay, so I just have a follow-up question about these children's business fairs. As the host, as the organizer for these children's business fairs, what makes it successful? Like for the child, for the organizer, what are some of the key things that need to happen for everybody to be like, man, that was a win. That was a huge success.
Parents are literally going to be looking at how much money their kids made in the time that they were there. That's going to be the parent is going to be like, did my kid make more money than when they got here? And is my kid leaving happy with cash in their pocket? For the kids, they're going to be looking at, did they make money and did they have fun? Those are the two most important things to them, because if they were bored out of their minds, then they don't want to do it again. And as an organizer, I'm looking at a few more things, because I'm looking at the long-term impact of what these fairs have. So I'm going to be looking at, did the kids open up? Did they have some camaraderie with the other children? Were they confident when they were talking to their clients? Did they get more confident as the day progressed? And then for us, I mean, we're a nonprofit. So one of the biggest things is if we broke even or profited, rather than having lost money on hosting the event.
Okay, that's fascinating. And I think I'm gonna organize a children's business fair in Dallas.
They're so much fun. They're so much fun.
Do your kids each have their own booth?
So I have 4 kids. They are 2, 4, 7, and 10. My 7 and 2-year-olds, or my 4 and 2-year-olds do not, but my 7 and 10-year-old, um, they each have their own business, and they also have a partnership. So sometimes the girls will do a business together. Sometimes they do separate booths.
I love that. That's cute.
Yeah. Their partnership is called Lemon Time Lemonade, and they sell specialty lemonade with like um, snow cone flavorings and edible glitter. So if you ever look on our Facebook page, Society of Child Entrepreneurs, there's a glass of blue raspberry glitter lemonade on our Facebook page. It is the most beautiful glass of lemonade you have ever seen in your life. They charge $6 for that lemonade, and they sell out every time they do an event.
Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's also really good. The tiger's blood is my favorite.
I love that. Okay, so I've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you. Want to play along? A value that you refuse to compromise on,
But right now, it's stability. If I feel like it's going to shake the foundation of what we're building, I don't want to do it.
a habit or ritual that keeps you grounded.
I do a gratitude journal when I'm in bed every night. Literally 367 days a couple days ago. Every night I do my gratitude journal.
Is it just blank pages or is it a pre-printed journal that has prompts? What are you using?
I use a phone app, and it's I think it's called Daily Journal, and it's literally like 3 good things that happened today and something you learned today. Yep. It's super easy, takes 5 minutes, but I make sure no matter how tired I am, I at least write one thing. And sometimes I write one thing and then I write, I'm too tired to think anymore. But I still open it and put at least one thing.
Yeah. Good. Love that. What's a question that you ask yourself regularly?
So I ask myself a lot, does this have to happen today? Because I have lots of ideas. I have lots of things I want to do. I have lots of projects right now, because we're trying to build some social proof with the Society of Child Entrepreneurs. I'm doing a lot of podcasts and a lot of outreach and a lot of news stuff. So it's come down to, does it have to be today, or can I wait?
Okay, finish the sentence. Intentional leadership begins with.
asking questions.
Okay, if people want to learn more about your organization, they want to learn about your books, what's the best way to get more information to find out more?
The first place to go is our website, which is SOCEICT.org. That's got links to all the things. And then our Facebook page is pretty active, Society of Child Entrepreneurs. And then outside of that, just anywhere, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of them are just under Society of Child Entrepreneurs.
You're doing amazing work. I am inspired and think I'm gonna go start a children's business fair here in Dallas. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And yeah, I does your website have information about the camps as well? Summer
So
camps?
all of our events that we do are embedded on the calendar page. So it'll tell you the dates for all of the events that we have. I don't think they have the topics right now because I have not published the 2026 topics.
Well, I'm looking forward to follow along on your journey and I'll keep you posted about our children's business fair here in Dallas. Thank you for taking the
Yeah,
time to be here with us today and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with us. I appreciate you so much.
thank you. And I am excited to see if you do your children's business fair. I want to hear all about it.
I'll send you photos.
Yay. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Empowered Living. I hope today's conversation sparked some inspiration and gave you tools to live more intentionally in your family, work, and life. If you enjoyed our episode today, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an inspiring story or actionable takeaway. And if you know someone who would love this episode, share it with them. Because living an intentional life is better when we do it together. Until next time, remember, the life you want doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice. Let's keep creating it one step at a time.